We begin the day with hundreds of former Israeli security leaders sending what they call a red alert to U.S. President Donald Trump. Now, Trump has been holding talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House today. And ahead of that meeting, more than 550 former senior Israeli military, intelligence, police, and diplomatic officials penned a letter to Donald Trump. In it, they warned that escalating settler violence and the weakening of the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank threaten regional stability. And they urged Trump to pressure Netanyahu to take action against what they call Jewish settler terror activity. They write, "It is no secret that certain members of our current government orchestrate much of this chaos, including by shielding their followers who are armed and driven by messianic impulses from the law and its enforcement." Well, the group behind the letter is Commanders for Israel's Security. And our next guest, Nimrod Novik, serves on the executive committee. He was a senior advisor and special envoy to former Israeli Prime Minister and President Shimon Peres. Mr. Novik, it's good to have you with us. I was reading through your letter, and it says that no one but President Trump can avert this calamity. When I read that, I thought, has it lost the ability or even the will to police itself? What's your answer?
My answer is that it's a very sad commentary that we need to approach a foreign power in order to get our house in order. But that's the state of affairs right now, given two primary triggers. One is that much of the chaos on the West Bank is orchestrated by members of our current government. And two is that our armed forces face an impossible situation, whether to respond to their professional judgment that calls for very firm reaction to Jewish violence and terrorism, or to adhere to the guidance and the spirit of the national elected leadership as required in a democracy. So when the IDF has a problem, when the government is driving it all, and given the 2 years almost where President Trump has demonstrated that when he wants things to happen, Prime Minister Netanyahu does, we felt the need to approach him.
I want to go through the things you just spoke about, but first let me ask you, what exactly must President Trump tell Benjamin Netanyahu today?
Well, what we were hoping is that there will be one line in his talking points with the Prime Minister, and that one line will be get hold of the situation on the West Bank, stop the escalating violence, because your interest, but to me, President Trump, U.S. interest and regional stability are at stake.
In this letter, you accuse government figures, Israeli government figures, of shielding and even encouraging Jewish extremists. Who are you accusing, and what is your evidence here?
Well, the evidence is in plain sight. We didn't need intelligence information in order to get there. At least two of the members of the current coalition and government trumpet their idea and ideology of changing the dynamics on the West Bank and making sure that no future government will have an option of thinking of separating between Israelis and Palestinians there. One is a minister of finance who is also a minister in the Ministry of Defense, and controlled all activity on the West Bank of settlers and others. He 6 years ago, almost a decade, in 2017, he published a very detailed plan that he's implementing now that he's in office. And the second fellow is our Minister of Internal Security, which is really Ministry of Police, who has been championing provocation on Temple Mount, or what the Arabs call Haram Sharif, which is holy to 2 billion Muslims all over the world. And combined, they have accelerated that activity, both on Temple Mount and in the West Bank over the last months.
I mean, these gentlemen that you're identifying, I mean, this would require a reshuffling of the government, maybe new elections. But with the situation as it is right now, you say that some violent settlers are terrorists. What makes this terrorism rather than criminal violence?
Well, I think the distinction recognized worldwide is when groups of armed men are terrorizing defenseless civilians. That is defined as terrorism. And I must confess that for us, this is even more dramatic than any act of terrorism anywhere, because what we are witnessing is something that our people, the Jewish people, have suffered for hundreds of years, and that is pogroms against defenseless Jews in communities in Eastern, Western Europe, and elsewhere in the Arab world as well. And now that we are a majority, we feel that it is our responsibility to take care of a minority and defenseless minority at that.
Is that what you're saying, that Israel, the state of Israel, is conducting pogroms against Palestinians?
What I'm saying is that the government, and I make a distinction between the people and the government, we are approaching elections, and I'm very hopeful that the result will be a different policy on this issue and others. But what I'm saying is that members of our cabinet either look the other way or provide backwind and support to violent settlers on the West Bank, providing them with arms, with equipment, with transportation means, with a variety of instruments. And even though nobody in the government calls upon them to conduct violence, one, they're providing them with the means. Two, they're creating the spirit. And three, they are restraining those entrusted with law enforcement from doing their job.
Does the responsibility go all the way to the prime minister?
Always. The prime minister is the head. And if he slammed his fist at the table, ministers tend to heed. And we have not heard the prime minister do what we believe he should have done. We have known him for decades, and he used to conduct himself very differently in previous terms in office. We believe that the prime minister is the one who is supposed to put an end to it.
You warn that all of this could produce consequences that are worse than October 7th, and that a war could possibly follow. Are you using, on purpose, frightening language that's designed to get President Trump's attention? I mean, do you really believe that what we're seeing happen right now could become a regional conflict?
Yes, this is our professional judgment, and it has to do not just with the region. We start from our point of departure is Israeli security and the security of Israelis. That's where we come from. Our 600 members have dedicated their lives to that mission, and they do so even after leaving office. We believe that what happened on October 7th, which was devastating, brutal, and traumatic, it might be even more brutal, devastating, and dramatic, given the proximity of all of Israel's population centers to the West Bank. So should any October 7-like development break out from the West Bank, it will not be confined to small Israeli settlements next to Gaza, as was the case 3 years ago, but rather the entire Israeli population will be exposed. Our reaction is going to be naturally and justifiably fierce, and that might affect the stability of a very important neighbor, Jordan, very important one for Israeli strategic interests. And from then on, the ripple effect and the fallout may be far-reaching.
I'm sure, Mr. Novik, you've seen the numbers. The latest INSS survey found that only 25% of Israelis support a two-state solution with the Palestinians. And among coalition voters, 50% supported annexation without granting Palestinians civil rights. Are you asking President Trump to press Israel towards a policy that its own public rejects?
No, not at all. We are not, we do not follow the guidance of public opinion. We try to follow our professional judgment. And we make a clear distinction between acts that undermine stability on the West Bank and therefore beyond, and the ultimate objective, whether it is a two-state solution or some variation thereof. The political objective of settling the conflict between ourselves and the Palestinians is certainly over the horizon. Positions in the Israeli public, as you quoted, hardened since October 7th, and for good reasons. And we were not an easy people before October 7th on that
Novik,
issue either.
Let me just ask you, though. I mean, you point to support for separation, but separation is not Palestinian statehood. Is your plan, is it simply occupation under another name?
No. Our position stems from a sober appreciation of reality. The reality is that over the past years, governments have accelerated a trend towards one-state reality. We believe, and we do call it one-state reality, because we don't believe that there is such thing as a one-state solution. We believe that one-state reality is ever conflicted and ever bleeding on both sides. So when we call for separation, we're calling to reverse the slide toward this disaster called one-state reality, security-based reversal of those measures, and we spelled out the measures that we believe should be enacted in order to start reversing the trend. And whether and when the Israeli public and Israeli leadership will be ready for a negotiated solution, that is certainly over the horizon.
You know, Mr. Novik, if people have followed events in Israel for a while, they will know that many in your organization led Israel's security establishment while these settlements expanded. Did that establishment that a lot of these people who have signed this letter were a part of, did that help create the crisis that you now condemn?
No, the people that are members of commanders who are all in the Israeli armed forces, in the security agencies, Mossad, Shin Bet, and the diplomatic service, they did not set national policy. They did advise. And those people, when in office and since, believed that settlements undermine Israeli security. The need to deploy armed units
But they didn't
to
stop
protect
it, though.
the settlements deep in Palestinian territory is counterproductive and not contribute to Israeli security.
I want to ask you before we run out of time, bring things back to what's happening in Washington. Nearly half of American voters now believe that Washington supports Israel too much. It's a record high. Why should President Trump spend more political capital on another Israeli crisis?
Well, I think that the policy of the government it did brought us to this point. And indeed, the collapse of bipartisan support for Israel on the U.S. is very worrisome to all of us because our strategic relations with the U.S. are a major pillar of Israeli security. But I believe that President Trump, at least the people around him, who may be more attuned to the issue, understand what American interests might be undermined, whatever public opinion says on the issue. And I'm not sure that many who belong to the numbers that you suggested, who wants to reduce support for Israel, that many of them will object if the president were to press the prime minister to reduce violence on the West Bank and elsewhere, and add a diplomatic leg to the security force leg that his government, that Netanyahu's government is now using exclusively. So I think American interests are at stake just as much as Israeli security.
Nimrod Novik, Mr. Novik, we appreciate you taking the time to help us walk us through the way you see this situation. We will be following events to see what President Trump decides. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.